Today's TMS talk comes from the groundbreaking conversation between physician Rangan Chatterjee and Dr. Schubiner on the Feel Better, Live More podcast. This entire podcast was devoted to the topic of the mind-body syndrome, and with well over 500,000 views to date, this is a massive step forward to making this information common knowledge for the general population. As someone who has been fully engaged in this healing process for nearly 4 years, I can tell you that one of the most challenging aspects is how little understanding one finds themselves surrounded by. Most of us find ourselves going it alone. As more information like this enters the mainstream, this is soon to change. As more and more people come to understand and accept these truths, healing will become easier for all of us. Because as the collective belief system begins to change, it will begin to support us rather than work against us. For every person out there who has suffered like the woman described in this video, I want to tell you that you are not alone and there is hope. I found myself tearing up during this talk because I know exactly how excruciating and isolating this experience can be. You can have faith though. As you come to see that your body is fine and where your healing is required is emotionally and spiritually, you begin a process in which the only destination is healing. We can begin to work together as a community to support one another in this process, so please don't hesitate to reach out and leave a comment. I am sending massive love to each and every person going through this. I'm with you. Satya, mind, body, spirit, health, and healing.
This idea that when we experience pain, most of the time there's nothing actually structurally going on in our body, I think is quite profound for people, because I think we grow up with the understanding that if we have pain, there's a physical cause of that pain. And you mentioned earlier on that the brain creates this experience of pain. You mentioned something that I think many people have experienced when they have a broken heart. They can literally feel a pain in their heart, right? But nothing physical has actually happened. So help us understand that. What's going on? How does the brain generate this experience of pain, and why does it do it as well?
Yeah, it is amazing. The research shows, neuroscience research shows that emotions and stress activate the exact same parts of the brain as does a physical injury. And we can talk about why our brain might do that. We don't know for sure, but whether God created us that way or we evolved that way, but that's how our brain works. So the pain that occurs due to a fracture is exactly the same as the pain that occurs due to a stressful situation that occurs in our life. It's real pain, and it can be severe pain. And that's what people say. How can the pain be so frigging severe and not be due to a structural injury? It's amazing. But it's true, we see it every day.
Yeah, and that's, I think, the power of a lot of your work, a lot of your research is helping to give scientific validity to something that many practitioners have experienced, many patients have experienced, that emotional pain, emotional injury can totally manifest as physical pain. I have found, like you, Howard, I think that many cases, arguably the majority of cases with chronic pain, can be healed. In my experience, at least, I'd love your view on that, without using any medication, if you take time to help the patient understand what's going on, get to the root cause. I mean, what would you say to that?
Exactly. It's 100% true. And we have data now showing that. I can talk about that in a second. But the most important thing is that it's not all in your head. When a doctor says, or anybody says it's all in your head, it's cruel.
Yeah.
And it's ignorant, because it implies that it's their fault, that they want the pain somehow, that they're crazy or mentally deficient, or making it up. And none of that is true at all. And so that validation is so important.
I guess, you can look at it this way. If someone had a physical injury, like we could see let's say, their ankle, and it was red, it was hot, it was swollen, and they were hobbling for a few weeks and had to, I don't know, take crutches to work with them. People would be sympathetic. They could see that. They could understand, yeah, oh, man, you need some help. I get it. You're in pain, right? We have an understanding of that. But a lot of emotional pain is hidden. We can't see it. The people around you can't see it. So therefore, one of them we have sympathy for as a society. The other one, we kind of ignore.
Right, and we're not really looking at the whole person. So if you take, for an example, it's kind of a common story, right? You take a young woman, say, whose father was critical, yelling and screaming sometime, maybe alcoholic, kind of that sort of thing. And she grows up with this sense that life isn't safe, that people are unpredictable. People in my life are unpredictable around me and can yell or scream at me, or even worse. And then she grows up, and then when she's 15, she has a boyfriend, and then he betrays her, or cheats on her, or sends pictures of her around the school or something like that. And then she gets migraine headaches. Do you have sympathy for her? Of course you do. And then she's in her 20s, and she marries a guy who happens to be kind of like her father, kind of maybe abusive or maybe harsh with the children. And then she starts getting irritable bowel syndrome or pelvic pain. Do we have sympathy for her? And then when she's 35, she divorces the jerk, but still not paying child support or whatever. And then she gets in a small car accident. And then her neck starts to hurt, and it gets worse. And then her whole back starts to hurt. And then she starts to feel anxious or depressed. And then maybe she gets pain all over, and they say she's got fibromyalgia. And now at the end of this, she feels completely broken. And people maybe are looking at her like, just get on with your life. What's wrong with you? Nothing. Do we have sympathy for that person? Are you kidding me? Her whole life has been one which cries out for understanding and cries out for her to be heard, listened to, respected, cared for. And when you look at it that way, yeah, this pain is real, and all these pains are due to the stress that's been caused in her life, none of which is her fault.
If you found this to be meaningful, please like, share, and subscribe to support and encourage future creations of this kind. This content has been created with the sole intent of educating about, increasing awareness around, and deepening the understanding of the mind-body syndrome, and more broadly speaking, the mind-body-spirit connection. To hear this clip in its full context, please visit the original media source. And to learn more about the mind-body-spirit connection, you can visit howtosayfupolitely.com. Until next time, love your struggle and remain free.